you think the citizens actually...
Hang on a second. Oh, to be a fly on the wall for these conversations that are happening here. Fascinating stuff, I tell you. We'll be talking about public participation because that is the solution towards ensuring that we get the leaders we want of the right integrity and, you know, who deliver and whether this will be an issue in just a moment. But as we've promised you all evening here on Kivumbi2017, tonight we are introducing our election series, Quote My Vote, where our reporters travel to you, the voter, to find out what your aspirations are for this election. Tonight, Sharon Momanyi takes a boat ride with the fishermen at Dunga Beach to find out how they'll gauge the leaders they will vote for.
Kuwa na familia sababu ya maisha. Sasa kama tunaweza pata kiongozi mzuri ambaye anaweza tushughulikia, ndio tunaweza mpigia kura, lakini tupige kura tusiangalie mambo ya pesa. Tuangalie kiongozi mzuri ambaye anaweza badilisha maisha yetu.
It's not been an easy ride for the fishermen. They, like many other Kenyans, have to swim against the tide of harsh economic times. Only good leadership would steer the people afloat, they say. Deep within the high waters of Lake Victoria, we are sitting with fishermen who will be fishing the entire night. It's about 8 p.m. right now, just to hear what are their concerns, what is their voice concerning leadership and what they expect even as they go towards the general election.
Hatuwezi ongea sana nao wakubwa, juu sisi ni wavuvi.
Kwanza ni ufisadi, ndio fukuse, ndio inji inaanza kuwa mzuri. Ufisadi ndio mbaya, ndio naharibu nchi.
Kenya's economy groans under the weight of corruption, being ranked by Transparency International in 2016 at position 145 out of 176 countries. Even with a political space fueled by ethnic alliances and party loyalties, dispassionate voters say that this time they have to choose differently.
Kwanza, kura yangu nitakuwa napiga nikishajiuliza nampigia nani na ametufanyia nini na anatuletea mabadiliko gani na gani amefanya. Cha kwanza, ikiwa hawatakuwa viongozi wenye wamependa corruption, sitawapigia. Cha pili, nitawapigia wenye wamependa maendeleo na wenye wamekuwa wakisaidia wananchi. Si ati kifedha, lakini analeta maendeleo kwa watu wa chini.
If I vote, the leader whom I will voting in will be a leader of great development. Then I will vote a leader whom can hear my voice as a common mwananchi, and also whom will hear others.
The leaders that you can sit down with and they get your views and you plan with them. And again, I want to say that we are very much informed. We are not going to choose party, or we are not going to elect people that we are imposed to do. But we are going to have people in the parliament, in the county government, and in the presidency, the people that have the heart of the common mwananchi.
One quality after another will these fishermen be checking off out of the aspiring leaders, their voices representative of that of Kenyans who will be fishing for leaders that can sail the country onto the shores of prosperity. Sharon Momanyi, KTN News, Kisumu County.
All right, so that is what the people at the lakeside are saying. And please do remember, Quote My Vote has just debuted now, and we will have a number of stories from across the country. Our reporters will be coming to you to ask you what you want. So let's start by talking about the youth and whether they offer the solution. You know, we've spent a lot of time stating the problem. Are youth the solution? Alex, that study that is quoted by literally everybody, it is on everybody's lips, young people, what they want in their leaders. Many of them are talking about the values that they espouse, how many of them would, you know, bribe, but or steal, but just, as long as they get away with it, which is quite a bit of what we're discussing. But do young people provide the solution in terms of better leadership based on values, integrity, and delivery?
I think to some extent they understand what ought to be. They're struggling with these things. They understand that values around religion, around faith, around family, around work, those things are important. They understand, for instance, that corruption is bad. And when you ask them, they say they are honest, they have integrity, etc. But they would tell you at the same time that it doesn't matter how you make money as long as you make it. So I think it reflects this very deep contradiction in ourselves. And the fact that a lot of these vices have been so normalized that sometimes you don't see the contradiction. I'll tell you I'm a very honest person, but as soon as I get down the street and I have a problem with the cops, I give money. That's not honesty, that's not integrity. But it goes back to this co-evolution between our institutions and our social value structure. So that it has happened over a long period of time that it is difficult to extricate and separate these things. That our institutions basically are innocuous. Most of them are populated by people who lack integrity. But there's a constant aspiration in us, some belief that somehow,
so
if we
how
keep
do they
fiddling
then
with these
make that
institutions,
aspiration a reality? Because it is believed that in 70 days' time, this will be that opportunity to take your aspirations and, put them to action.
Well, I guess it's what you're seeing in the ballot on the streets. They're saying that they'll vote on Madili. That it's not about money, it's about the leader who will do the things for the citizens. And as we're saying here, is it leadership or representation? Are you going there to help the people achieve their aspirations? The leader is somebody who necessarily does not lord over you, but the person who champions your aspirations,
who
stands up
represents
for
you and speaks for you.
Absolutely.
And we were saying about conflating the two issues. You had a great analogy before we came back from the break about the difference, understanding the difference between leadership and representation. I loved your analogy. Maybe you could give it again.
You see, I'm going to get there, but what I was going to say is that first, we live in a society. Our youth aren't going to be our saviors when we ourselves haven't taught them any values that could make them our saviors. If this country, if it was true that 80% of this country are Christians, we shouldn't be talking about corruption. And yet, every other person you meet in the street will tell you, I'm a Christian. And yet, we are struggling with these issues. But the other issue that I was really struggling with is that we have a mismatch, or we have some kind of a misunderstanding between what we call leadership and what representation is about. And I like the fact that in these primaries, we have varied sets of people coming in. Forget about the people we know, but the cook in Kericho, and a few mamambogas from wherever. Fine, they have been doing very well as cooks, they have been doing very well as mamambogas. Does it mean that they will translate overnight into leaders because now they are going to be elected as MCAs? So what is the really leadership? People's representative is simply somebody who goes to articulate issues on behalf of the people. And as a matter of fact, that person may not be the leader, he or she may be the follower of those majority who have sent him or her to go out there. So when you talk of leadership, also talk about followership. So a leader is as good as the followers.
The followers, okay.
Yes, and followers are as
all right,
good
so
as
bringing that
leader.
back, I know you want to counter that, but because we've got about 3 minutes to go, I really wanted to talk about the solution that you have proposed, Gadara, and that is public participation and what happens in between the elections. So tell us about that, where it goes beyond some of the issues that are being raised or sought in the people we're electing, but it's what happens after the 8th of August?
Well, the first thing I would say is, and I said this before, we shouldn't really privilege elections. You're not going to solve anything through elections. You're just going to put new faces and new people, or perhaps even the old lot, back into a rotten system. How do you change it? You change it by participating every day. It's by speaking up if you value, for example, the Constitution, you speak up every time that Constitution is undermined, is violated. You don't keep quiet. You don't say it's my guy or whatever. You speak up. And you don't speak up at election time, because that's what Kenyatta keeps telling us, is, if you don't like how I'm running the country, wait. well, we can't afford to wait. We should shut him down there and then, And I think if people start participating, start extracting a price every time these guys do something wrong, then you're actually starting to change the logic of the system.
Okay.
All right. Unfortunately, we all wait. We think we're just going to have this one election and we're going to get a messiah. These untainted
So it's not going to happen now. We need to keep them in check for the next 5 years.
The final thing I would say is don't look for leaders. We keep thinking that
who should we look for?
No, get representatives who will go and articulate your issues.
Okay,
Not
that's a good place. That's a good place to leave it. Patrick Gadara, Dr. Alex Awiti, and Martin Olo, thank you so much for such a vibrant discussion. And I really thank you for your time this evening on Kivumbi2017. The show continues. We'll be telling you who's coming at 10. This has been the pundit section. We also speak to the politicians. I'll tell you a little bit about who it is. Actually, we did tell you earlier, yes? It's the NASA campaign chair and co-principal, Musalia Mudavadi. He will be with Joe Ageo in just a minute, but we're still also on the streets conducting our vote. Perhaps Lofty can tell us how the vote has been going in that moment and throughout the evening. Maybe to just close the voter. Surely we're voting after dark. I'm not sure about the integrity of the ballots that are being cast in darkness. Lofty?
Yes, Yvonne. Of course, a minute here to wrap up the voting on the counting exercise actually. Ni mbele ama mkabala jumba hili la archives, mbele ya jumba la Kencom, ambapo shughuli hii nzima imefanyika kwa saa 3 sasa, na tutaenda kumalizia. Tayari tumehesabu kura kumalizia. Labda tu wasaidizi wangu waonyeshe tu kwamba ndo kura za mwisho zinaongoza namna gani. Naona pia wapigaji kura wanataka kushiriki shughuli nzima kuonyesha ndo kura hivyo kama unavyoona. Masanduku yote napendweni tu muziache hivyo hivyo. Kwa hivyo Yvonne, labda nitoe tu kura za mwisho hapa tukiwa tunafunga. Integrity kura 159 ama maadili, alafu inafuatwa unyounyo na tribe ama kabila ambao wamesema watatumia ukabila kupigia viongozi ni kura 41. Waliosema kwamba wataangalia walio na pesa na wanawapatia pesa ili wawapigie kura ni kura 26. Alafu mwisho kabisa wanaangalia nani aliye na kisomo, yani education, ni kura 12. Kutoka kwangu sina la ziada. Lofty Matambo, naomba kufunga hapa kituo hiki hadi Jumatatu ijayo, moja kwa moja hadi kwako Yvonne. Asante sana.
All right. Okay, so thank you, Lofty. And just as Lofty is on the ground in the CBD area taking a look at some of the votes, here we are doing the same thing only online. So first of all, let's begin by what people are talking about on YouTube, all right? Take a look at this one by Alex. KTN is Mambo Yote, Sina TV, but I'm watching news through YouTube. That's the whole point of this digital platform, and that's why we're here, to really give you a whole look at it, and we know that we have an entire online audience, hence why we are here. Watching from Kisii University.
Luke Obugi.
Okay. Now,
James,
sorry? Go ahead.
James Nyaga anasema niko ndani, don't know hotspot.
Okay. There's Vincent Mogaka here who's watching from Dubai. He says really happy with Kenyans in what they have decided to do this year. Let there be peace all over the country. So if you're part of these 516 people who are watching via YouTube, then you can be sure we'll be taking a look at some of your feedback as we go through Kivumbi. But as well as Twitter, we have not forgotten that platform. Hashtag Kivumbi2017 is what we are using.
Stephen Wambua, many Kenyans would like to vote based on integrity, but akipatiwa pesa hawatokataa.
Okay. All right, let's one here by Kev Innocent. She said, but let's be reminded, election is not a matter of life and death. It is only an opportunity to refresh leadership rather. Or say, do you have another one?
Haika Kituri anasema tribe should not be an issue. What is most important is integrity, with education coming a close second.
Okay, all right, so those are just some of the feedback that we're getting. There's one over here that says tribe should not be an issue. What is most important is integrity, with education coming as a second close. There's someone else who's also tweeted about education. Education isn't a key issue for, we've seen leaders with titles fail. Mugabe is one of the world leaders with the most learned education, and is also met menacing Zimbabwe. All right, so hashtag Kivumbi2017 is what we are looking at. And Hassan and I are here making sure we have an eye on what you're saying online, from Periscope to Twitter to YouTube, and wherever you're watching us live from, even on our platform, www.ktnnews.com. All right, so this was us earlier on, Hassan. Let's just have a look at that. This was us earlier. So sometimes when we're not on air, you can definitely find us on Periscope, right?
Oh, yes.
I'm teaching Hassan what Periscope is.
Trying to learn some few things from Zinzi.
All right. So, so Hassan, for you, what is it that you're looking for within a leader? Is it integrity? Is it education? Is it money? Is it what tribe they come from? Because if there's one conversation that I've loved, is the one between even Okwara and our panel, is the fact that we have Luo leaders, we have Kikuyu leaders, we have Kamba leaders, but the fact that they're there doesn't mean we are directly affected. You know, they don't directly influence us. What are your thoughts, all right? We want to hear from you as well, all right? Okay, so on top of that, let's see what else we have.
Of course, we're live.
All right. Yeah, we were definitely live on doing at City Center rather. Okay. So on top of that, we will take a short break and we'll be back with more here on Kivumbi 2017. This is KTN News. We'll be right back.